Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the studios here at Culpeper Media Network. My name is Jon Krawchuk, station manager, and it is my pleasure once again to welcome to the studios individuals as we talk about the Culpeper Humane Society. Joining us, as always, is a wonderful young lady by the name of Patty Werick. Patty, President of the Culpeper Humane Society, how are you today?
I am fine. I'm very happy to be here once again. I can talk about rescue endlessly, as all my friends and relatives will attest to. So,
well, that's why we had to break the segment over like 5 or 6 episodes.
Yes, so you can absorb that information.
Indeed.
Yeah, and brace yourself for the next time I appear.
Now, Patty, over the months that we've been sitting and chatting together, the community has learned quite a bit about the Culpeper Humane Society. For those, I'm going to go ahead and start right now. If I wanted to learn more of anything we talk about today, the website's the best place to visit?
Absolutely. Our website, you can meander through that for all our programs that we offer. And now we have also posted our interviews too
really?
there. So that's with each, like the one we talked about, TNR,
Yes.
the segment. So that's posted now on our TNR page on our website. And of course our email. You can always email us to ask any questions.
And that's info@culpeperhumanesociety.com, correct?
It is.
All right.
It is.
So, Patty, we've had a lot of great conversations. Obviously, TNR was one that we talked about before. But just kind of want to ask you, how have things been going with the Culpeper Humane Society since last we spoke?
Good. We've had some great opportunities presented to us, and we're looking forward to 2022. We're hitting TNR time, so we have already started trapping and transporting those kitties. And we are joint venturing with Culpeper Felines and Friends in a closer bond to achieve that, because they've been TNRing for years and years and years rigorously. And so while they have been part of our TNR alliance, now Culpeper Felines and Friends are working very closely with us and joint venturing with us, which is fantastic.
I do like that each and every time you come in here, we talk about partnerships in the community. Now, as we talked about before, we're trying to minimize intake of animals and maximize the outtake of animals for not only the well-being of the community, but also for the health and safety of the animals. So
yes, so TNR is vital to that, because it breaks down these feral cat colonies breeding endlessly and dying horrible deaths, and going into the shelter where there's no homes or nowhere for them to go, aside from the mythical barn that people believe that are out there that are going to take every single cat. So getting them spayed and neutered is vital, and also giving them rabies. There's been recent rabies outbreaks in our surrounding counties, and it's so important that you give your pets, keep them up to date on their rabies vaccines, and for our feral cat colonies, that they are kept up to date and that they get their shots. So that's what we're doing. And also not just feral cat colonies, but also people who have cow barns and horse barns. They always have animal population, cat population there, and we are happy to do those for free.
So again, I could email you at info@culpeperhumanesociety.com for you to come and help. Obviously, culpeperhumane.org for a ton of information.
Yes.
And also, as you mentioned, and thank you for putting those up, our past programs going into depth of the pillars of how Culpeper Humane Society operates.
Yes.
Now, one of the, when we're talking about working as a community, one of the most important things that we've spoken every single program is the volunteers and how they are vital to the organization and your success. Now, when we talk about minimizing intake, I kind of want to concentrate today about maximizing outtake, and the program in particular we want to talk about is Foster to Adoption Today. Now, again, there's a lot to it, because it's not just you get a dog or a cat and that's it. But explain to me, a neophyte, explain to me, give me a 30,000 foot.
I would never refer to you as a neophyte.
That's why I do it to myself. I give myself that
I have so many
opportunity.
other adjectives. Neophyte never entered.
Okay, that's good. But now I'm curious about the other ones.
Yeah, I know, later.
So give me kind of an overview of exactly what foster to adoption is and what makes it special.
Foster to adoption it takes another small army to administer to. And it's an important component of our whole organization. And it also takes pets out of the shelter, animals out of the shelter, so it's important. We have to find fosters that will take either dogs or cats, kittens, puppies, whatever. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. When you have a dog that you want to take from the shelter and you have an open foster home, but it's not an appropriate one for this dog. This dog needs a fenced-in backyard, and he can't be around young children. And your home that you have open has children, but no backyard. So you have to have.
It's finding that right fit.
Yes, and you have to have a multitude of foster homes in order to plug those animals into.
Well, let me back up a little bit. I mean, we talked about when we go out to colonies for TNR. Where do all the animals come from? I mean, we're not just talking about cats and dogs.
Right, we're a dog-cat rescue.
Okay, so where do all these animals come from?
So I'm so glad you asked me that question. We take them from the shelter. Mostly dogs, but of course some cats. Anytime I get a call from the shelter, I always say, yes, we'll take them. If I can't say yes, they may have other resources. If they don't, I try to help with that. So the other place that we get animals, of course, you know we have a vigorous TNR program, and most of our kittens are coming from there because we go out to trap and we find a mommy with little kittens, or we just find the kittens, and we will take them in. Sometimes people call us and say, we found kittens in our backyard, and it just goes on from there. But mostly they're from feral cat colonies. Sometimes they're strays that people find under their porch. And we will take in owner surrenders from time to time.
If I'm interested in being foster home, I'm assuming the best way to possibly look to see if I'm able to become a foster home would be maybe to email you or visit the website?
Both. You can email us, and I would say go to the website and fill out an application to become a foster home. We have a foster application. And then we have a volunteer coordinator that talks with you about what that looks like. And if you want a dog, then we find out more about you and what kind of dog would be agreeable or not. And the same with cats. You know, some people, I just want kittens. I just want a pregnant mom. That's all, because then she takes care of them.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, and I'll go back to it, the jigsaw puzzle. You know, finding the right piece. And I was on your website, and I had the opportunity to look at the application. And there are a number of questions. I mean, we're looking, I think, for the best possible outcome, not only for the foster family, but obviously for the animal.
Oh, yes.
To move forward for adoption. And while the application is lengthy, it is extremely important for folks to fill that out and make sure that everything is right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I forgot to say that when we get an application, I look at it first. And I may call them or email them and touch up on some basics before I send it to our adoption director. And she interviews them, and we do background checks, we do vet references, and also, what's that other thing that we do? the interview, because we treat them as if somebody were adopting them, because we have to make sure that our fosters are just as good as an adopter. So their application is dealt with just as seriously as if they were an adopter. But of course, if their foster fails, then we know that they're already a good adopter.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to protect our animals. And I'm always fond of saying that the adopter is not our client, and this holds true for the foster people that come. They're not our client. The pet is. The animal that we put out there, they're our client, and we have to protect them from the get-go.
And the way that's done is we've talked about this process, and all of the process is geared towards just that fact. And I think that's fantastic, and I think it's a great way to operate. Now, let's just say, for the sake of discussion, that I fill out the application. I do the Zoom we do the Zoom orientation after, you know, I'm a pretty good pet guy. I like to think I'm okay. But let's say I pass, everything's fine with the application and the interview. Take us through the next process of, you know, okay, your application looks good.
Yes.
What happens then?
Yes. So our adoption director, whether this is a foster home or an adopter, will notify us that that person was approved and give me some notes. And then we have a foster coordinator that does a home visit, and that is done by FaceTime or Zoom. And I always say, don't clean your house for us. It's not where we're at. We just want to get to know you better. We want to see where our pet is going to eat, sleep, play. I want to meet the other members of your family. This is human and furry beloveds. And just see if there is a crazy uncle in the basement that's a serial killer, just in case.
You've had some weird adoptions, haven't
Yes, and I can sniff out a serial killer like that. But it's, again, getting to know the people better.
Yep.
And at that time, with either the foster person or the adopter, we have protocols for introductions for incumbent pets, and we can talk more about the pet with them and give them some tips and hints. We want the adopter to succeed with the pet, and we want the foster to be prepared as well. So it's a win-win for both the pet and the person.
So again, it's all about having that experience leading towards the best possible outcome and maximizing outtake.
Yes.
So once that happens, you know, you get to know the family, you get to know the house, just the complete layout, and understand they're a good candidate. How long until I'm able to start fostering animals? Does it happen once is that the totality of the process?
If you think pregnant cat, one will fall out of the sky. Okay, so as soon as you want to start, we can hook you up.
If you open the door, they will come.
That's right. That's right. But, you know, every home will have their particular needs. If they have children, if they have a fenced-in yard, if they have cats, you know. So, again, the jigsaw puzzle, we have to massage it a little bit. They may not even be ready. Well, I'm going to go to California for 2 weeks, but when I come back, I'd like to start. Fine. Everybody leads busy lives, and you know, that's good. So finding the appropriate pet for them.
All right. So when we establish a foster home, we talked briefly about is there a fee for this, or how does the fee structure work for like a fostering if I'm going to foster a pet?
So we have an adoption fee that must be paid for by the foster. And this is to help us with the vetting that we do, the full vetting that we do for each pet. But also we provide pet food, and every cat and dog gets a monthly flea tick preventative. So all of that, is, you as a dog owner knows, is very expensive. So we try to slow that process down. The heart wants what the heart wants. So if you just have to have that cat, fine. I hope that you can continue to foster, but you still have to pay that fee. And that is another stopgap, really, so that they will consider the monetary pressure on them, just like we do with adopters.
Again, it seems like all these aspects are towards finding the best home and the best possible outcome for that animal.
Yes, that is exactly right.
So again, if I wanted to, obviously we're always looking for pets to adopt, we're going to go to the website. If I'm interested in becoming a foster for adoption, again, the website is the best place to go because of that application process?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, because we have a foster application on the website. And then after you complete that, then we start a dialogue. Mostly, we want to prepare people. You know, they all need health care, and you have to be experienced to do that. Some people learn on the job, and we're happy to groom fosters to do that. That's why we have a vet assistant that does foster pet care. We're lucky we have 2 vet assistants that do foster pet care, and they can give, I forgot the big words, worming medicine.
Yeah.
You know how big a word worming is. And also give them distemper shots and do their testing. And that's less stress on the foster. They don't have to, you know, run them to the vets. With kittens and puppies, they have a protocol of 3 distemper shots, 2 or 3 weeks apart each. Well, in the bad old days, we'd have to take them to the vets to have that done. But now we purchase the distemper shots ourselves, and the vet techs come to the house and do it. Less stress on the pet, too. They're at home.
Well, again, everything we've spoken about is, I mean, with the experience from yourself, your team, and the volunteers, again, just looking for the best possible outcome, whether it be for the family, the fosters, when adoptions come around. But all in all, it's trying to keep our pet population safe and happy. And as we talked about in previous episodes, you know, for some folks, that pet is their family.
Absolutely.
I mean, our pets are our family. And keeping them as happy and as healthy as we can is a fantastic goal to have. And it's obviously one of the Culpeper Humane Society.
Yes, and we've been successful in the last 4 years with this. We've only had, actually it was my foster kitty, who used to be, we call her formerly feral, and then, you know, now she sleeps under the covers in the bed and hangs out with kids and everything. But it took a while to get there, and she stayed with me until she was socialized, and I adopted out her to a lovely family. They had a dog. She was cool with the dog. The dog was a large Catahoula mix, and that dog, Glenda, could never get over the fact that the cat was not going to kill her. And Glenda had a good reason to worry, because Marlena felt that with an animal that big, that guerrilla warfare was the best. So she'd pop out and scare the bejabbers out of the dog. It just wasn't a good match. We made the best decisions we could, and the family really gave it a good try. No problem. You know, I guided them, I gave them hints. You know what, in the end, it just wasn't a good match for either the dog or the cat. And so I took Marlena back. She got adopted to the perfect home. They have a dog who adores the cat, and they have a teenage daughter. They have other cats. Marlena is cool.
And again, it's about finding that perfect home.
Yes.
Now, again, we have a unique opportunity today because we've been talking about these foster homes, but we do have the unique opportunity to speak with one of those foster parents.
I know. That's all the talking I don't have to do.
Well, again, we're going to learn more about the actual process of what it's like to be a foster mom. Well, we welcome to the studios Miss Teresa Hogan. Teresa, first off, thank you for taking the opportunity to come and chat with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Now, a little bird told me that you are a foster mom.
Yes.
First off, I guess my first question is, what made you want to be a foster mom? Because you've been doing this for how long?
16 years.
16 years.
Yeah.
Now, in that time, how many animals do you think, even roundabout, that you have
It's
you found
probably,
homes
I'd
for?
say at least 60.
Wow.
Cats and dogs.
So what made you want to become a foster mom?
I originally started with another rescue, and I had, this was like before kids and before marriage, and I was able to start by helping animals doing like transport activities and stuff like that. Like the animals would come in from the shelter and we would do bath and medication. But as time went on, it with kids, it was just really hard to do stuff like that. So I thought fostering would be a really good way to still contribute to animal rescue. And it really, it's a very, very small little part of the big process, but I think it definitely makes a difference.
I would say so. Now you mentioned you have kids. How many kids do you have?
I have 4.
So they must be really on board with the fostering of the animals.
They're like future animal rescuers for sure. I have one in particular, and he like stalks out feral cat colonies, but they're really great, and it's an opportunity for me to teach them about animal rescue and how important it is, animal care in general, especially Fauquier and Culpeper County, like we, with all the agriculture and just everything, and the opportunity to teach them, and I think they're really absorbing all of it.
Well, we spoke with Patty earlier, and I think I understand why it's important to have foster families for adoption. But from somebody who's done it so many times, tell me what it's like, and why is it so important from your perspective?
Well, for me, it's a win-win. The animal comes out of the shelter, so that opens up a spot at the shelter. The animal comes into a foster home, and they get socialized and get the experience of a home. And then we're able to, tell a potential adopter like all about that animal, like what they like, and it's good because people have kids and people have other pets, and all of that makes a real big difference when you're explaining to the person, well, I have this cat, and this cat likes dogs, and this cat likes kids, so this cat could be like a really good fit for your family. So it really is great in that sense that we can be so informative to the adopter, and it's just so rewarding all around, because we get to basically get to know the animal at our home at a really personal level, and we get to experience the love and the care for the animal, which is amazing.
Now, I have to ask this question because it's coming up in my mind almost immediately. You've worked with so many dogs, you've worked with so many cats. Mm-hmm. How there has to have been
I know what you're
at
gonna
least
ask.
one that you're like, oh, Misha over here, I don't.
Yeah, we call them foster fails, and I have definitely been a foster fail. I think I've foster failed maybe 4, which out of like the 60, it's not bad.
Percentage-wise, you're doing okay.
It's okay. So, but we're here to like provide a service. So of course, when the animal goes, my kids who are learning to be, animal rescuers, like they are learning that they have to let them go. And so we have had many times where the adopter has come and they're, driving away, and my daughter's crying, or and I say, we did it. We like did our part. We got them acclimated to a home, and now they're in their forever home. And guess what? We can take another one in, and we can do it again and save another life.
Well, you're talking about your kids. What kind of, again, you've mentioned a little bit, but the impact that this has on your children, your family in general, I think is pretty evident. But is there more to it than that? It's
just so amazing, and I think it's just like when we tell people we foster, it actually really opens up a lot of eye-opening to people, because they're like, oh, well, talk to me about your foster, because it seems like there's always someone in the market to get a pet. So like if you can say, hey, I have this great cat, or I have this great dog, people are really interested in learning more about that, because it's very scary to go to a shelter and you're just picking a dog or picking a cat. And that's still an okay thing to do, of course, in animal rescue, but we're giving them insight on the animal, giving them some information to see if it really truly will be a good fit, because the last thing the rescue needs is, a returned animal, that it didn't work out, which is why the Culpeper Humane Society has such an extensive process and their application is so thorough. It's because to forever, it's forever. We want to make sure that home is forever.
Yeah, and one of the things that you're speaking of becomes abundantly clear when you're talking about those individual, well, the things that make that pet an individual. Those are extremely important to know, and you don't get that.
No.
Just from going to pick up a shelter.
Right.
Like for instance, I'll use my own dog as an example. She hates hardwood floors, and that's the thing you probably would never learn. What type of, when's the dog or cat active? How does it work with kids and yards and stuff? That is, to me, is one of the most important things that comes out of fostering.
Sure.
Finding out who that individual animal is and moving that information forward towards that forever home.
Absolutely. And as fosters, we're treated so well at the Humane Society because, I just don't say, give me a dog or give me a cat. I mean, Patty really says, okay, I know this dog is going to be okay with a child. I know this cat is going to be okay with a kid. So, I mean, we're never put in a compromised situation where we're unsafe, or anything like that. I mean, it's a good fit. It works out from the get-go, and if something ever did not work, Patty would jump right on it and help us and fix everything. And
yeah, again, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you, the relationship between as a foster home and the Culpeper Humane Society in general. Obviously, as you just mentioned, that relationship is fantastic.
It is.
So when you initially get the animal, what can a foster family expect to receive? I mean, obviously, Patty alluded to mentioned some of the things earlier, and you did as well. But when that process begins, I guess, how does that process begin when the animal comes to the home?
Well, like for example, I have 2 foster cats right now, and so for specifically Sunday, who's our hospice cat, so he came in, and it's really great because we had Megan come, who's another volunteer, and she administered some of the vaccinations, which saved me a trip to the vet. Or another volunteer for that matter. So she came and did all of that. And then, the dewormer and everything. And then we get this really awesome cat kit that has everything in it in case of an emergency, like, tummy issues. And then, of course, the Humane Society supplies all of the food, which is amazing because as fosters, cat food can be expensive. Dog food can be expensive, especially in these times. So it's amazing that Patty gives us all of that. And because, she just wants us to have like an easygoing process. And so that's why we have the things provided to us. And then if there's ever a problem or concern, literally she's a text away, and then she gets us what we need, makes the appointment. And there's just other volunteers that help us get the animals to the vets if we can't do it. I mean, like I said, I'm a mom of 4. It can be challenging to just stop what I'm doing to take a foster pet to the vet, but there's just so many other great volunteers. So it's definitely a community of people working for that animal.
Yeah, and Patty was mentioning about the pet care coordinator and those volunteers who do have veterinary experience. I find it amazing with that kit that you're talking about that comes with the animal, which again, it's trying just to give the utmost care to that animal and to make it as easy as a foster family. I think that shows how dedicated it is, how the Humane Society is towards finding a forever home.
They are, and they're so organized. They're so dedicated. It's all about the animal.
Patty's going to take this and rewind it a couple times just to hear it over and over again.
She's amazing, yes.
So, you talked about being a foster home for a number of years. Your entire family. How's your husband feel about it? You guys, does he have a few?
He's on board. I think he when he married me, he knew what was coming along, and that was just a bunch of cats and dogs. So
he sounds like a wonderful, supportive individual.
He is great. He's great. He's a UPS driver, so he works long hours. So if he comes home and he sees a new animal, he's like, "Who's this one?" So it's good. He's very supportive.
All right. So again, one of the things we talked about a lot, but one thing I do want to ask you is, it's not all, and you alluded to a little bit with the pet care package. It's not all yarn and doggy treats.
It's not. No.
There are some times where it gets difficult.
Sure.
And one of the things that Patty and I were talking, I want to ask you about is when those times come, I want foster families to be prepared for every single thing. So if they are going to open their home for a pet, for adoption. They are aware of all the circumstances that comes with. Is there anything you can speak to about that?
I mean, you know, there's always going to be some training involved when the animals come into the house. I mean, there's definitely differences between cats and dogs. Like if I have a cat come in, I typically keep them in one area, usually my very large master bathroom where they can have access to become litter trained and, you know, and then we can go in there and be social with them until they have been fully vetted, and then they can kind of come out and adjust to the home. And then as far as dogs go, when you're doing the fostering for the dogs, I mean, I always say to keep them right next to you in the house because, of course, like you want to keep your house nice. You don't want an animal coming in and chewing things or anything like that. So, you know, keeping them next to you, washing them, training them, you know, especially with going outside and things like that. It's a pivotal process in having the animals in your home because, again, you're getting them ready to go to an adoptive home. And there's nothing better than an adopter hearing, they're house trained. I did all the hard work for you, you know, so, and it really it boosts that for them so they can get adopted even faster. And then, of course, the process starts all over. We get another animal in and do it all over again.
And I love this. Your experience, Patty's experience, the experience and knowledge of not only the foster families, but also the staff and all the volunteers. Really, it makes it, I want to say, it gives it a great chance for a perfect forever home for that animal.
It does. Absolutely.
Now, we talked about a couple things. You did mention something that I want to get a little bit more information on. You said that you were fostering a hospice cat.
Yes.
I had not I have not heard that term before when it comes to adoptions. Can you give us a little information about that?
So Sundays, he's a special kitty. He's 10, and I picked him up in December. It was cold outside, and I was running errands, and he was there, and I just asked around, and he basically was a neighborhood cat. And so, of course, I scooped him, and I took him home, and on my way, I called Patty, and I said, I have this cat, and you know, he's a senior, so he's not quite as adoptable or as flashy as some of the younger kitties with less medical issues. He does have skin cancer. So we fostered him, and when we got the news after he was vetted that he did have skin cancer, that news, we had realized that he was definitely not as adoptable as he once was. And so given his age and the condition, we've decided to just permanently call him our hospice foster cat. So he's not going anywhere. He'll be with us until the time comes. But he's still perfectly healthy. You know, we give him like a topical treatment every day for his skin cancer, which of course the Humane Society provides. And he's on a special diet, and you know, he's just living his best life. He went from outside, and he's a great cat. He's like a dog, really. So it was kind of a shame that he was living outside because he's very, very social.
Well, it's happy that he's found his forever home.
Yes, yes.
Well, Teresa, we've talked about quite a bit, and I love the fact that you've shared so much of your insight of doing this over the years. The hope is that, you know, maybe somebody will see this and say, you know what? I want that for my family. I want to provide that opportunity for that animal and the future owner of that animal. And who knows, maybe there might be a couple successful foster fails. You never
even
know.
a couple, absolutely. And that's okay. But even a couple more foster homes could save easily 10 lives, you know, in a year. So it's an amazing opportunity and experience, and the Humane Society definitely makes it worthwhile.
Well, Teresa, again, I really appreciate you coming in and all that you and your family do.
Of course.
Thank you for volunteering.
Thank you.
And keep up the great work.
Thank you.
All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've learned even more amazing information about our Culpeper Humane Society. If you want some additional information, maybe on possibly becoming a foster family, log on to culpeperhumane.org and fill out the application. If you want to adopt one of the many beautiful, wonderful animals, please, again, visit culpeperhumane.org. A lot of information not only on adoptions and fostering, but a lot more about how our community is benefited by the presence of the Culpeper Humane Society. Well, ladies and gentlemen, until you find that special someone to bring to you or you as a forever home, we hope you have a great day and, of course, a better tomorrow.